state of China's economy. Done. And see, the problem is when you mess with America and you've been pimping America for a long time, and America want to do something different. This is things that happen. Y'all forgive me if y'all hear breathing. I just had nasal surgery yesterday, so y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? No, they ain't just being large in size, boy. That's
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent with breaking news to investors yesterday here from the Milken Conference, saying that substantial progress on China trade talks could come in the coming few weeks.
I bet it will.
President Trump says he will not bring down tariffs to get China to the negotiating table, but notes that Beijing is going to have to make a deal because they need the U.S. consumer. A new report.
China's going to, I believe, they're going to be the last, and they're going to, before this go into, I think they're going to try to put up the longest fight, and then they're going to try to, then our stores are going to be empty, and it's going to be hard to get certain stuff.
Then people going to be struggling.
And then people going to struggle.
Oh my gosh, they already struggling.
And you know what it's all boils down to? What's the one first sin? What was the very first sin? Pride.
Report from the Wall Street Journal shows data needed to analyze China's economy is vanishing. Chinese officials no longer publishing data points like unemployment and land sales and foreign investments. Joining me now here at the Milken Institute International Chairman, Senior Fellow and Advisor Curtis Chin. Curtis, you just made the point. You don't.
Curtis is like a nice guy, man.
Absolutely. You know, it's really par for the course. It's not just this year, but in prior years, when things look bad, the data was not forthcoming, which makes it, this is all about investors here. I mean, it makes it tough for investors, and it's probably we're probably going to see less and less, again, foreign direct investment into China.
By the way, the data that we did see last week was painful. Manufacturing was down, exports were down. So the tariffs that President Trump has begun to institute are working, apparently.
Well, I think, you know, we have to find what do we mean by working? And, you know, in terms of, you know, is of course the consequence on the people there. But the reality, indeed, across
working
the
for
world,
us.
I was about to say, hey.
Driving the agenda. And with your for or against tariffs, you cannot deny.
I mean,
working for
look
us.
how long it hasn't worked in our favor.
Years.
Look how long it has not worked in our favor by us not forcing, you know, countries to pay up a fair tariff in comparison to what we were paying them or what they were able to be able to trade and how the exports and stuff was going. Come on,
and it wasn't even needed. All the tariffs that we're paying to them, it was pointless. Trump went in and he was like, he kind of looked at it like, why are we paying them all this money?
And Joe Biden got on the news to talk about.
And we don't. And not only that, some of these countries, your economy's built. So, yeah, time to stop this.
Janky Joe.
And pride and ego don't want to change it because, oh no, you ain't gonna change this around here. Oh yeah, why? It's gonna change. It's gonna bother and hurt people in every country. Believe that. But in the end.
But he already said it was going to be a little rough before it got better.
Yeah, it's going to be a little rough. That's it.
Go for the ride.
It's led to discussions that hopefully will be the benefit, not just for Americans, but for other countries in making sure it's a sustainable trading relationship between the U.S. and them.
So based on what you know today, knowing that you've got a lack of data, how would you assess the Chinese economy?
Not well.
Not well.
I think that's the bottom line. We're seeing reports before the data vanished.
Right.
Again, about job losses. You know, China is all about stability. And so that government needs to think through what do they do? You know,
order as many Nikes.
Stop it.
Products are not being purchased when there's no jobs for the people. You know, China has protests. Sometimes you don't hear about them so much. And what they worry about most are protests from workers, not students, but it's about workers.
The last thing Xi Jinping wants to see are thousands of people in the streets like Tiananmen Square.
Well, I think probably no one wants, you know, violence and protest.
Right.
But clearly, I would hope that Xi Jinping, as the rest of the world, really wants a better life for Chinese people too. Really, the Chinese are often the victims when things like this happen and things disappear.
So how does that happen? I mean, there's this massive gap, right? The wealth gap.
Yeah, clearly in China, not just in China, in many parts of Asia, there's growing inequality. You know, clearly China needs to rebalance its economy. They've talked many years about increasing domestic consumption, and so that things aren't just driven by real estate, by exports. You know, the fear now, I'm based with Milken in Asia, and the fear now often in large parts of Asia isn't so much just the direct consequences of tariffs, but the indirect impacts if that leads to China flooding the market with inexpensive goods that might have otherwise gone to the United States or Europe.
Right, and President Trump is well aware of that.
Absolutely.
By the way, now the president is set to go to the Middle East next week. He's visiting Saudi Arabia. He's going to Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. You are just back from Saudi Arabia, right? You also
Yeah.
have
I
an
wanna go to
op-ed
Saudi.
for Fortune. You're questioning
No,
whether or not
I wanna
Saudi
go to
Arabia
Dubai.
is the next China or India. Tell me about your trip and what you're
Sure.
expecting from President Trump in the Mideast.
Sure. I mean, I'd say what a blessing that I was able to go to Saudi Arabia, encourage people to go to. You know, the Saudis have a significant presence here at Milken Institute, not just this year and prior years. Clearly, if I were to sum it up with a headline, this is a kingdom on the move. And so blessed to be there.
Okay.
Had the chance to do everything from try out their new subway system, really the longest, like, almost robot-driven subway system in the world, but also a chance to meet everyday people. And again, I had some preconceptions, some, I guess, reinforced, some clearly have changed now that I've been there. And so on Fortune, I and a co-author posed that question: is Saudi Arabia the next China or India, this Asian nations that really going to power the world and power imaginations?
But with that, I wonder for them, do they have an industrial system like China? Because China had a giant when it comes to industrialization and creating products. So how is Saudi's industrial system? What are they known for? Like, I don't know what Saudi Arabia is known for. You know, aside of some, you know, I'm ignorant to Saudi Arabia. I just, you know, when I think about Middle Eastern countries, I'm thinking about Dubai. So I don't know what they're doing in Saudi, but those are rich people. You know, you got a lot of rich Saudis.
In reality, the answer is somewhat no. It's a country, it's a kingdom of like 33 million people. But in another way, the answer is yes. This is a nation with the ambition of a China or an India. And how great that the United States and Saudi
China.
Arabia have this partnership, as demonstrated by President Trump's upcoming visit to
Well,
the
I
kingdom.
was there about, I don't know, it's got to be almost 10 years now, and I was able to interview His Highness on stage, the Crown Prince. And at that time, he was telling me, well, we're opening movie theaters, we're allowing women to drive. Have you seen any of that actually
Certainly,
materialize?
Absolutely. Saw women driving. Men and women, you know, many women are still wearing the very traditional dress. It's all about.
And driving with that.
I don't know about that, but clearly,
Could you imagine that?
Women not being able to drive in this country?
No, driving in the country, you got that full face covered up with them eyes.
Stop.
You
Absolutely
you cannot
not.
see left or right.
No, that wouldn't be the ticket.
women were driving. Where I stayed, I went to the shopping mall, saw the movie theater, didn't go to a movie, but very clearly the pace of change is intensifying. The Saudi Arabia of today is certainly not the Saudi Arabia of 10 years ago. It's a kingdom that's opening up for more and more trade and investment. I was blessed even here in these first 36 hours of the Milken Global Conference to attend a dinner hosted by Saudi Arabia, and so hear firsthand their message about a nation, a kingdom on the move and the investment opportunities.
Well, I hope so.
And they're moving
I would
forward,
like to see that.
not just through investment, but by being a center also of diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was there last, it was the foreign minister of Russia and Secretary Rubio were there. And now this upcoming big meeting again shows that Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, can be the hub of diplomacy and moving that region.
Yeah.
That's why another reason why I believe China is going to, they're going to try to fight like hell. And then, you know, everybody's going to have to suffer from it. It is what it is. They really suffering. They're going to suffer way worse, but they're going to have to fight like, they're going to fight like hell, and then they're going to eventually subdue. It might take them. I don't believe that they're going to join this year. Like, I don't believe it'll be this year that they do a deal.
Oh my gosh. I was just thinking y'all better get y'all hair care products. Yeah. All your stuff that you don't think, you need to be checking your labels and see where stuff comes from, because I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff comes from that. It's going to be hell, so you do got to stock up on. Was that just me? I felt like an earthquake. That might have been just me.
No, I didn't feel nothing.
But yeah, it's going to be hell because they got to make 90% of everything.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't believe it's, and they're gonna have to let go of their pride and they're gonna come aboard. But that's what Trump was talking about when he was talking about, you know, the number one country on his list. That's the problem. He didn't. He said, "I'm not gonna say the name, but I know that happened to be China."
Of course. Of course.
Forward also.
It's interesting. While President Trump is going to the Middle East next week, President of China, Xi Jinping, is going to Moscow with Vladimir Putin for quote-unquote Victory Day celebrations.
What does that
in Red
mean?
Square. That's happening. It actually
Interesting.
So, because I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know what that's about. You know, it could be something, it could be nothing, but I just know, to me personally, Vladimir is a rat. He's a rat, and people that support him, that's Americans. You just trying to go against the grain because Trump don't just support him like that. But to me, Vladimir is a rat. He's a rat. I don't respect him.
Yeah, he cannot be trusted.
May 9th is when they were together. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that includes Japan, China, South Korea,
India.
they've agreed to launch a new lending facility aimed to swiftly respond to crises caused by the pandemic and natural disasters. This decision coming after the association's meeting in Milan this past week. Curtis, your reaction?
Yeah, well, first,
Wonder how that
the
affects
Association of
India.
Southeast Asian nations, it's 10 nations, and then there's something called ASEAN +3. So that's how they add in, the other nations like a Japan or a Korea. Clearly there's a move for greater cooperation, and why they're all in Milan actually is for the annual meeting also of the Asian Development Bank. I was blessed to be the U.S. ambassador to that institution, and that institution again is trying to drive greater cooperation between these nations. The reality, though, it all comes down to the real results. Money talks.
Yeah.
And so as the U.S. thinks through engagement in the broad Asia-Pacific region, the reality is ASEAN, for the most part, is a friend and great partner of the United States.
What would be the best outcome from President Trump's meeting in Saudi Arabia this week? Next week. Sorry.
Well, in many ways, clearly movement forward on, for me, what is something amazing from the first term, the Abraham Accords, in a sense that moving towards, again, a more peaceful, more stable region.
We'll see if the president is able to get the Crown Prince to up his investment in the United States. He says he's going to invest $600 billion.
Ooh.
The president said, let's make it a round number to go to $1 trillion. Curtis, it's good to see you.
Always good
Thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much. And
That reminds
Come
me of
on,
an episode.
Trump.
That reminds me of an episode of on
Let's make a deal.
No. Was that on Coming to America? He was like, no. When Eddie Murphy was talking to Sim, and he was like, not my pocket money. He was like, what did he say? Should we make it a cool million? I forgot what they were talking about, but not my pocket money.
Wow. Yeah, I believe they're going to be, obviously the last to join, China.
They're gonna fight like hell.
Please don't make it a whole year.
Because if by Canada not join, I don't know all the stuff that Canada produces and brings here. But we darn sure wouldn't be missing too much of nothing that ain't gonna affect us like that for the most part.
Come
like
up, son.
Canada,
That's
like we
blurry.
would China. And I'm comfortable. Y'all gonna have to be a
okay.
little blurred on this one. Canada, unlike China. China, it's like everything. This mic, this chair, this computer, this camera,
your headphones,
the headphones.
your iPhone case,
Probably
the mouse,
shirt.
the stickers on the mouse, batteries. It's like flashlights, any little thing you can think of, guys. We have to, now is the time to be trying to
If you
zoom
can.
into
If you
your
can afford
house,
it, you do it.
Yeah, it's to just
people-
have a
some
few
people
little
can, some people
extra
can't.
things that you feel like, maybe, or you can go into the stores right now and start seeing how the shelves are a little empty. There's certain items
Have you noticed?
aren't on the stores. I was looking for something today, and I was
noticed
like, they don't have it. I don't remember what it was. It was a couple of things in Ralph's that I was looking for, and I was like,
I think I ran into something like that recently, and they have it, but I didn't know. I asked the guy, was it tariffs? He said he wasn't sure.
okay.
What I visualize you walk in them stores and they butt naked. It looked like COVID, what a tissue aisle was.
Man, that was crazy. But yeah, and even on those items, the goods and things that we've been discussing, don't stop, checking your inventory and making sure that you have the things that you need in conjunction with all this stuff that's going on. Even more reason to make sure you have those, survival items for your household.
And it makes me think about when we were watching when Sleepy Joe was on, and he said that Trump has been the worst 90 days. I said
100 days.
100 days. That's how y'all twist it. It's been the best 100 days.
Please.
He's changed. Trump made these changes. This 100 days these things that he's done 100 days can affect us positively for 100 years. Listen. I couldn't believe that man got out there and say Trump has done the worst.
Well, you already know what he wasn't going to give him no credit. He
Because
wasn't
he
going to
didn't
give him no
Now,
credit.
of course, you're going to get on somebody for something you didn't do.
Yeah.
You probably wish you did it.
And he's under investigation for all the stuff that he did.
Get him.
Ha! Please.
But all right, y'all. China's doing bad. They suffering. They might not act like they are, but according to the numbers, it sounds like they're starting. They're like I said, they're going to fight until it just completely, until you get humbled and then you go in and crack. That's usually how.
Well,
Because if we're not buying your stuff like that, or the tariffs so high that to send it over here, you like, it's going to cost us too much. We losing all the money just to get the product to them. You're going to be like, it's going to make you rethink stuff. That's why, like you said the other day, we were walking, you were talking about how they were trying to open up the border so
yeah, I
you
was
just
about
fly
to ask
right
y'all
over and
that.
come get stuff.
Have y'all heard that? I know I saw it on a video thumbnail. I don't know how true it is. I haven't seen many other content creators talking about it. But have you, or do you know if China is allowing you to come in and shop with no visa? Just to shop. So I guess it's a shopping and then you out of there the next day, or you have a certain amount of days that you can stay without having your visa. And do you all know about that?
Come out with $100 of Nike. You can't even get them back.
How much is it going to cost to ship it? That's the thing. You can buy all that, but how much is it going to cost you to get it back to where you stay?
You got $100 of Nike for $200.
And it's going to cost double that to get it sent back.
Yeah,
Child,
you got to.
please.
Nah, you gonna find the local Chinese post office, and you are gonna have to mail them things out.
Well,
You might spend another $200 on shipping.
yeah, we'll see.
All right,
well,
y'all.
people, what y'all think about this? What's going to happen now? What's going to be the next steps? What y'all think is coming next? Let us know.
I believe that I'm gonna just say this famine, because we depend too dependent, so
lot
it's
of
gonna be some
stuff.
famine.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one.
Love you guys.
You.